I kept looking at those empty chairs like they might suddenly fill up on their own. The table was ready for 12, white linen napkins folded just right, champagne flutes catching bits of sunlight, and place cards I'd taken the time to hand-letter myself. I showed up 15 minutes early, just to be safe. By noon, the hostess had already stopped by twice to ask if the rest of my group was still coming. I gave her a polite smile, nodded like everything was fine, while secretly checking my phone every couple minutes. At exactly 12:14 p.m., as the waiter quietly topped off my mimosa and avoided eye contact like he didn't feel sorry for me, I got a notification. My cousin Mia had posted something to her story. I clicked it, hoping, foolishly, that maybe she was just running behind too. But no. What I saw was a beach scene, towels stretched across the sand, everyone in sunglasses, grinning with plastic mojito cups in their hands. There they were. My cousin, my sister, my aunt, even my godmother. Every single one of them who had RSVP'd yes to my brunch. The caption? Beach day with real ones. I just stared at my phone like it had slapped me across the face. Real ones. It wasn't just that they bailed on my birthday. It was that they didn't even bother to make up an excuse. They flat out picked something better. They didn't flake last minute. They coordinated outfits, packed snacks, organized a ride. This had been planned for a while. While I was busy locking down a brunch spot and ordering a gluten-free cake because Aunt Tasha can't eat wheat, they were deciding which beach to hit. The waiter came back, a little more cautious this time. "Would you like the check?" he asked gently. I blinked, nodded. The French toast I'd ordered sat untouched. I'd asked for the big table by the window, just wanted a few nice photos, keep up the tradition. Every year, I treat the family to a birthday meal. Nothing fancy expected from them, no gifts. Just time together. But apparently even that was too much for them now. The check came, $3.46, tip already included. I paid it without hesitation. Then I got up and walked to my car. Something inside me had gone quiet. Not angry. Not shocked. Just like some little ember in me had finally cooled off and gone dark. In the parking lot, I opened the Notes app on my phone. First thing I did was pause the tuition support I'd been quietly covering since 2021. From the very first dollar. $200 a month for my sister's online MBA. $100 for Mia's community college courses. $85 for my brother's language app, the one he never actually used but guilt-tripped me over because, just until I passed German. Then I logged into our shared travel wallet. The one I built from scratch, funded myself, and invited them into so we could make memories together. Turns out, those memories didn't include me. So I locked the account, froze the funds, changed the password, and took off every name but mine. At 2:06 p.m., my sister finally sent a text. "Why is everything disabled?" I looked at her message. The all-caps panic. The nerve. "No, sorry we missed brunch." Just frantic energy because the gravy train had stopped. So I wrote back cool as ice. "Beach day, right?" At 2:11 p.m., they were asked to leave the resort. Turns out the group booking had been charged to the emergency credit card I kept on file. Same one I used last year to pay for that surprise family getaway. The one I paid for because we haven't all been together in forever. Not once did they thank me for that either. But that day shifted everything. It didn't catch me off guard. The red flags had been waving for a long time. I just ignored them. Or worse, I noticed them and made excuses anyway. It started small. A missed birthday here. And, "I'm sorry, money's tight," when I tried to plan a low-key weekend trip. Mia always forgot to pay me back when we split rideshares. My sister would ask for help with rent, then post selfies from the spa the same day. I told myself it was stress. Memory lapses. Millennial burnout. I gave them the benefit of the doubt. Over and over. So much that my own bank account started to dry up. Because I was always the one they leaned on. The one with the stable job. The dependable car. The quiet savings account nobody talked about, but somehow everyone counted on. And honestly, I liked being that guy. I did. I remember the first time I helped with my sister's tuition. It was December 2021. She called me crying, Said her financial aid fell through and she didn't want to drop out. Just until the semester ends, she promised. That was 4 semesters ago. She's never once brought up paying me back. Not a word. In fact, she acted like it was just expected of me. Like I was filling some unspoken family role. Same deal with Mia. She said she wanted a fresh start, wanted to go back to school. Said her part-time gig wasn't cutting it. So I helped with the laptop, her deposit, the books. By the end of year 1, she'd already dropped out. Not for me, she said, but the monthly subscription charges for her course apps and learning tools? Oh, those stayed on my card. Never heard a thank you. And the travel fund? That one really stung. I created it to bring us together, called it Fan Passport. Everyone was supposed to chip in a small amount each month. I put in the first $500, set up a Google Sheet, made the whole thing easy. Guess who the only consistent contributor was? You already know. Over 2 years, I covered 3 group trips, spring break in Miami, Tasha's engagement weekend in Sedona, and a mental health retreat in the Berkshires that turned into a 5-person entourage. And always, I'll Venmo you later. Followed by crickets. Still, I convinced myself I was doing good. I told myself I had more, so I should give more. But it wasn't generosity anymore. It had turned into a trap. One I'd built with my own guilt and need to be the reliable one. The last time I even tried to set boundaries, it backfired hard. It was last October. I asked if we could plan ahead for the holidays this time, maybe spread the cost out more fairly. I said it kindly, diplomatically. What I actually said was, would it be alright if we split the cost of the Airbnb this year? I just don't want to end up covering the whole thing again. I barely got the sentence out before Mia cut me off. She snapped, "Oh my God. Are you broke now or something?" Right after that, the group chat lit up like a bonfire. My aunt cracked a joke about how I probably needed to find myself a sugar daddy. My sister chimed in with, "Just say you don't want us to come." They twisted my request into some kind of comedy hour. Roasted me, laughed it off, and then carried on planning the trip, without me. I wouldn't have even known they followed through if my card hadn't still been linked to the booking account. I got a notification for the charge. That should have been the moment I walked away from all of it. But I didn't. Because part of me still hoped they'd realize what they were doing. Because I still sent birthday cards. Still shipped little care packages when someone got sick. Still showed up. Even when no one else did. And now? They didn't even bother to cancel. They didn't flake. They just didn't come. 12 chairs. 1 person showed up. That wasn't a slip-up. That was deliberate. And when I finally sat down and looked through the finances that evening, it all became painfully obvious. Turns out, my sister had used the shared travel fund last month to book herself into a weekend massage retreat. Not because she was struggling, just because she felt like it. She even labeled it mental health therapy reimbursement. Mia had bought herself a new pair of AirPods. Claimed they were for her online classes. And my brother? He hadn't touched the shared fund in a while, because he'd added a new card. He was buying game credits every week like it was nothing. I went back and tallied it up, almost $18,400 spent in 2.5 years. That's 18 grand I'd funneled into helping my family. For what? So I could sit by myself on my own birthday? That wasn't happening again. But I wasn't about to yell. I wasn't going to grovel or try to explain my way through it. They'd made their move. And I was about to make mine. At 2:11 p.m., resort security escorted them off the property. That part? That wasn't part of the plan. I had only meant to shut off the shared wallet and cancel the cards. But Mia had used the Fan Passport account, the one I built and funded, to book their beach day package. I'd frozen it at 1:38 p.m. By 2:11, a manager at the resort politely informed them that the payment had been declined. When they started to argue, security stepped in. They didn't even have enough cash on hand to cover the basic fee. I know this because someone at the hotel, my aunt's friend who works the front desk, texted me a screenshot, along with a message that just said, "Did you do this on purpose?" Because wow. I didn't reply. Not right away. But that evening, the group chat exploded. At first, it was just confusion. Mia, wait, Did the card get declined for everyone? Then my sister, the room's been cancelled. What the hell is going on? Then came the panic. Aunt Carla, why is the wallet frozen? I'm stuck here and don't even have Lyft money. And then, predictably, came the blame. Tasha, you really had to throw a fit in the middle of the trip? You couldn't have waited? This is low. Then the meltdown I'd known was coming. My sister messaged me directly. No, sorry. No, we messed up. Not even a hint of reflection. Just full-blown outrage. What the hell is wrong with you? Everything's shut off. You humiliated us. So I wrote back. Just 4 words. Beach day, right? That was it. Silence for about an hour. And then suddenly, my phone was lighting up like Times Square. Mia left a voice message. She was yelling. Then came Aunt Carla, we've always supported you. Then Tasha, we're your family. You don't just walk away from family like this. I could have ignored them all. But instead, I opened the group chat and went live. I hit video. Sat back on my couch. Hit record. Me, alone. Quiet. Not mad. Just done. Hey, I said, voice calm. I saw all the messages. Don't worry, what you're going through right now. Getting locked out, losing access, suddenly having to depend on your own resources instead of someone else? That's not permanent. I paused for a second. But it is new. You'll get used to it. Just like I had to. When you all ditched me on my birthday. The chat went dead silent. I kept going. You knew the date. You RSVP'd, yes. You got my texts. You got my calls. None of you canceled. But you did plan a whole beach day together. I flipped my phone's camera and showed them the untouched birthday cake still in its box, sitting on my kitchen counter. I reserved a table for 12. 11 seats sat empty. Then I turned the camera back to me. You want to know what's wrong with me? I'll tell you. What's wrong is I allowed this to keep happening. I let myself be your ATM, your emotional punching bag, your fallback plan. Another notification popped up. Mia is typing. Didn't care. I leaned closer to the lens. You don't get to act shocked now. You're not the victims here. You pushed. I just moved out of the way. And with that, I ended the call. No shouting. No fireworks. Just that quiet, final click of a door locking behind me. 20 minutes later, my mom called. She hadn't gone on the beach trip, but clearly, the gossip had already made its rounds. And for the first time I could remember, she didn't sound neutral. She sounded nervous. Sweetheart, she said softly, I think you may have overreacted. There was the family's greatest hits. Minimize. Redirect. Guilt trip. I stayed silent. I know what they did wasn't right, she added quickly. But this? Freezing the account? Cutting them off mid-trip? It's a little much. Is it? I asked. Because honestly, showing up solo to my own birthday party while the rest of you had a beach day you didn't even bother to mention, yeah, I thought that was a little much too. She didn't have a response. So I ended the call. But the real blow didn't land until the next morning. At 6:37 a.m., my sister posted something to Instagram. Just a black screen with white text. It's sad when your own family turns on you. All because you went to the beach. People change. But money changes them more. And somehow, the caption was even worse. You stop funding their fragile egos and they panic. That's what really happens. Mia went on Instagram, posted some cryptic nonsense about healing and sending love to those who are hurting. Healing? Seriously? I opened my laptop, pulled up the shared folder we'd used for years. The one I'd organized for tuition bills, recurring payments, travel receipts, Netflix logins, all of it. And I erased my access. Just like that. Gone. Then I wrote a short, clear email. Subject line, moving forward, family. As of today, I will no longer be offering financial support. This includes tuition, travel, subscriptions, or emergency assistance. Any outstanding balances owed to me are forgiven. I'm not asking for repayment. I'm asking for peace. Please don't reach out unless it's to acknowledge this boundary. With love, but also with limits. Me. I hit send, closed my laptop, sat back and exhaled. And the silence that followed? It was clean, cold, still, like walking out into fresh snow. Unfamiliar, but peaceful. For the first time in years, no one was pinging me at 2 a.m. with another, "Can you spot me till Friday?" No passive-aggressive emoji storms in the group chat. Just nothing. At first, the quiet felt eerie. I'd built my identity around being the reliable one. The fixer. The emotional shock absorber. The guy who always just handled it. But in the quiet, I started hearing my own voice again. First thing I did? I bought a whiteboard. Might sound dumb, but I hung it in my kitchen. Wrote on it in huge black marker. "You don't owe anyone access to your peace." Every morning, I'd make my coffee, glance up at those words, and remind myself, boundaries aren't punishment, they're protection. In the first 2 weeks, only 2 people reached out. My mom. And, surprisingly, Mia. Mom's call was what you'd expect, gentle voice, walking on eggshells, trying to play the middle. "Sweetheart," she said, "they're really upset. Your sister cried all night." "Right?" I replied. "She cried because the money dried up. Not because she skipped my birthday." There was a long pause. Then quietly, "You're not wrong." And then the soft push. "Still, maybe don't burn the whole thing down." I looked over at the cake box in the corner. Still sealed. Still untouched. Still a reminder. "I didn't burn anything, Mom," I told her. "I just stopped rebuilding from the ashes." She didn't call again. But Mia did. "Yeah, we messed up. But did you really have to blow up everything?" I didn't answer. A week later, "You're punishing the whole family over one mistake." One mistake? I actually laughed. I opened my bank app. Scrolled past 36 tuition payments, 3 Airbnb rentals, 2 vet emergencies, her dog, by the way, 17 Uber rides, $237 in streaming services I didn't even use. That wasn't a mistake. That was a business model. They weren't sorry. They were just scared because the free ride had ended. But then, out of nowhere, something I didn't expect happened. About 3 weeks in, my little brother called. Not a text. A real phone call. This was the same guy who had coasted for years, language courses, rent help, gaming credits, but always kept his head down. Never took sides. Stayed neutral. "Hey," he said, voice low. "Can I talk to you?" Not like, as family. Just guy to guy. I watched everything unfold. "Sure," I said, honestly surprised. "You were right," he said after a pause. "We got way too comfortable. I got way too comfortable." I let him talk. "We stopped seeing you as a person. You were just the card. The fix-it guy. The backup plan." That hit. Not in a dramatic way. Just deep and real. "It's not all on you," I said. "I trained you to do that. I made it easy." He exhaled. "Still, I just wanted to say it before I lose the chance." We didn't talk long, but it was the first time in years that a conversation with family didn't feel like a performance. A few days later, I got something else. A letter. Real paper. No return address. It was from Aunt Carla. 3 lines. "You were the glue. We took it for granted. I'm sorry." It didn't fix anything. But it landed. And then, another photo. Texted by a family friend. A group dinner at Tasha's house. My sister, Mia, some cousins. The caption, "Cousins Night." Like old times. But the smiles in that photo? They weren't real. No sparkle. No ease. Just a bunch of people trying to pretend something wasn't missing. And that's when I got it. They weren't grieving me. They were struggling without the perks. The stability. The upgrades. The safety net. Now they had to carry their own weight. And I had finally stopped offering to lift it for them. Meanwhile, I kept living. Started therapy. Picked up painting again. Started saying yes to invites I'd always turned down because I was too drained. I even booked a solo trip to Iceland. Spent 2 nights on a black sand beach in total silence. Just me, the waves, and the wind. And for once, I wasn't worried about who needed something from me back home. Because no one did. And that wasn't tragic. That was freedom. Funny thing is, the world gets real quiet when you stop answering the wrong people. It's been 6 months since the brunch. Since the empty chairs. Since I sat alone, trying to keep a smile on my face while the clock ticked toward disappointment. Back then, I thought family was a blood contract. Something you were locked into, no matter how many times they ignored you, drained you, laughed behind your back. I thought being good meant being useful, being helpful, being available. But I know better. Family isn't who shows up for the perks. It's who shows up when there's no camera, no credit, no gain. When I sent that email, I didn't just cut off the money. I closed a chapter. The one where I lived at everyone else's mercy. Where I played the loyal, quiet sibling at the emotional kiddie table, swallowing guilt like it was breakfast. That story's done. And this time, I'm not waiting around for the sequel. I kept saying yes, always hoping they'd finally say thanks. But that never happened. And honestly, that's not what broke me. What really broke me was realizing they didn't even see when I was hurting. Not when I worked late nights to cover my sister's overdue tuition. Not when I gave up my own vacations so Mia could attend some healing retreat. Not when I paid for the last family trip and sat alone in the back while they smiled for photos up front. I was just the background, useful, silent, invisible. Until I wasn't. I didn't make a big scene. Didn't yell or throw a fit. I just stopped showing up. Stopped covering their mess. Stopped giving without anything in return. And the world didn't fall apart. If anything, it got a lot quieter. In that quiet, I found myself again. I started cooking, not big family dinners for 6, just simple meals for 1. I read books without checking my phone every few minutes. Went on walks without waiting for some dreaded, I hate to ask but, call. I even picked up painting again, something I'd abandoned years ago because it didn't feel practical. Because nobody needed me to paint. But I needed it. For the first time in forever, I wasn't creating for applause or approval. I was creating for peace. My apartment feels different now. Lighter. Like a place I actually live in. Not just a pit stop between obligations. I changed the locks. Not just the door locks, emotionally too. I stopped being a revolving door for people who only came in to take and never stayed. Then, about a week ago, I got a letter. Not an email or text, a real letter. On paper. From my mom. Her handwriting was shakier than I remembered. Inside, she wrote, "I've read your silence and I think I finally understand. I don't know how we missed it. You gave us everything, and we treated you like a faucet that would never run dry. I wish I had told you sooner. I'm proud of you. Not for what you gave, but for finally stopping. Come home when you're ready. We won't ask for anything. Just bring your peace." I cried reading that. Not because I wanted to go home, but because for once, someone saw me. Not the helper. Not the bank. Not the planner. Not the problem solver. Not the he'll cover it guy. Just me. I haven't replied yet. But I didn't throw the letter away either. Maybe one day I'll go back. Or maybe I won't. But if I do, it won't be as the person they knew before. It'll be as someone who knows his worth. Someone who won't shrink just to fit at their table. Speaking of tables, I celebrated my birthday again. No reservation for 12 this time. Just one seat. I went back to the same restaurant and sat in the same corner booth. This time, I brought a journal. A book. My favorite dessert. No place cards. No expectations. No show. When the waiter asked, "Will anyone be joining you?" I smiled. "No," I said. "Just me." He hesitated. "Would you like the big table?" I shook my head. "No thanks. This one's just right." Later, walking to my car under soft streetlights, my phone buzzed. A message from my little brother. "I miss you, man. Not the money, just you. Happy birthday." I smiled. Because finally, someone noticed the difference. I drove home, lit a candle, poured myself a drink, and sat with my peace. No apologies. No guilt. No more brunches with ghosts. Just a man who chose himself. And never looked back. Final thought. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your peace. Let silence be the space where your strength grows. You've already learned to breathe without them. Now it's time to take care of yourself.